Yo, what's good, Titans Nation? Sit down right now. Drop everything. Because what Cam Ward, the #1 overall pick of the 2025 NFL Draft, the future of the Tennessee Titans franchise, the 24-year-old kid from Texas who was supposed to save this organization, just did in the postgame press conference at Levi's Stadium after the Titans beat the San Francisco 49ers 19-13 is going to be the biggest story in the AFC South for the entire preseason, and I mean it. Cam Ward, who was supposed to give the polite second-year quarterback answer after struggling mightily in his 3 drives against the 49ers' backup defense, walked up to that microphone with an energy I have never seen from him publicly. Not at Miami, not last year in Tennessee, never. He was pissed, he was defensive, and he was ready to attack every single person who had spent the last 3 weeks calling him a bust. Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless, the analysts, the Twitter trolls. And most explosively, he compared himself directly to Brock Purdy on national television in San Francisco, with Purdy's team standing 50 feet away. Let me walk you through every single word of what Cam Ward just declared, because if you're a Titans fan, this is the moment that either announces the franchise savior, or it's the beginning of the end. Real quick, that like button pushes this video out to every Titans fan and every NFL fan in America. 1 second, massive impact, smash it now. Every like matters. Context: the Tennessee Titans just beat the San Francisco 49ers 19-13 at Levi's Stadium in preseason week 1. Brock Purdy, the 49ers franchise QB, didn't play. Cam Ward, the Titans franchise QB and the first overall pick of the 2025 NFL Draft, got the start, and Ward struggled bad. 3 drives, 0 points led by him. He looked out of rhythm from the very first snap. He held onto the ball too long. He missed reads. He looked like a rookie all over again, not a second-year QB entering his sophomore breakout season. The Titans eventually won thanks to Mitchell Trubisky, Will Levis, and Hendon Hooker leading garbage time drives against 49ers third stringers. And the national media coverage that came out of it was brutal. Stephen A. Smith went off on First Take this morning. Cam Ward is a bust, #1 overall pick, and he can't move the football against second-team defenders. The Titans made a mistake. Skip Bayless piled on. This is what happens when you draft a QB from a bad Miami program, not NFL ready. Every talking head in America started questioning whether new Titans head coach Robert Salai, the ex-Jets HC brought in specifically to develop Ward, was set up for failure from day one. And when Cam Ward walked up to that podium, you could see it. He had read every single tweet, he had watched every single hot take, and he was done being polite. The first question came from Teron Davenport, the veteran Titans beat reporter for ESPN. Teron asked, "Cam, tough outing tonight. 3 drives, no points led by you. What's your assessment?" And Cam looked at Teron, held eye contact, and answered with a slow, deliberate voice that was somehow more intimidating than shouting. "Teron, my assessment is that we won the football game, 19-13, on the road at Levi's Stadium in front of a hostile 49ers fan base. That's my assessment. Everything else, the analysis of my 3 drives, the comparisons to whoever else, the narratives about the #1 overall pick, I'll leave to the professional narrative builders, because that's their job. They get paid to sell narratives. I get paid to win football games, different jobs, different metrics. And on the metric that actually matters, the scoreboard, we won. Bro, the room got quiet, because that is not the polite rookie answer. That is not the "I've got a lot to work on" answer. That is a young QB deflecting all criticism with the confidence of a 5-time Pro Bowler. And Teron Davenport, respect to him, pushed. He said, "Cam, respectfully, the scoreboard reflects Trubisky and the backups. Your specific performance was 3 drives with no points. That's what people are talking about." And this is where Cam Ward went nuclear. Teron, with all respect, you're doing the exact thing that Stephen A. Smith is doing on national television this morning, which is separating the quarterback's individual stats from the team's collective outcome. That is not how football is played. That is not how quarterbacks are evaluated by the people who actually coach this sport. When Brock Purdy went 5 of 8 in his first 3 drives in a preseason game last year, nobody called him a bust. When Patrick Mahomes has bad preseason games, because he has them too, look at the tape. Nobody drafts headlines about it, but when Cam Ward, a black quarterback drafted #1 overall, has 3 drives against San Francisco backup defenders where the offensive line broke down on multiple snaps, suddenly the entire national media declares my career over. It's August, 9th of August. Y'all really doing this in August? Y'all really burying a second-year quarterback based on 3 drives of preseason football? Please, come on. Whoa. He just brought up race publicly in a post-game press conference. Cam Ward just accused the national media of applying a different standard to black quarterbacks like himself compared to white quarterbacks like Purdy and Mahomes. That is an explosive, career-defining public statement. And whether you agree with him or not, that quote is going to dominate every sports show on Monday morning. Every single one. First Take, Get Up, Undisputed, Speak, Pardon My Take, all of them. And Cam Ward wasn't done. He kept going. Because once that dam breaks, it doesn't reseal. Let me talk about the Purdy comparison for a second, because I know that's coming. Brock Purdy is a great quarterback. I have massive respect for what he's built in San Francisco. But let's look at reality. Brock was drafted 262nd overall. He inherited a McCaffrey, Ayuk, Debo, Kittle offense that had been to the NFC Championship the previous year. He walked into the perfect situation with the perfect roster and the perfect coaching staff. Meanwhile, I got drafted #1 overall to a Tennessee Titans team that went 3-14 the year before me, 3-14. I had no receivers, an offensive line that couldn't hold a pocket, and a head coach who got fired after my rookie season, and I still threw for over 3,200 yards and 20 touchdowns as a rookie. So when the narrative comparison is Purdy versus Ward, I want the record to reflect the context, different situations, different rosters, different opportunities. If you drop me on Brock's 49ers with McCaffrey and Kittle around me, I'd be a top 5 quarterback right now, just being honest. Y'all. Cam Ward just called himself a top 5 quarterback in the NFL on live television in a post-game press conference after a game where he had 0 scoring drives. That is either the boldest, most audacious self-belief statement in modern NFL history, or it's the biggest self-inflicted wound a young quarterback can create for himself. Because now every single defensive coordinator on the Titans' schedule is going to be running that quote back to their players every single week. Cam Ward says he'd be top 5 if he had our roster. Let's show him what our defense does to top 5 quarterbacks. That's the kind of quote that gets you sacked an extra 6 times a year. Terry McCormick from TitanInsider.com asked the follow-up. He said, Cam, Robert Salai was brought in specifically to develop you. How's your relationship with your new head coach? And Cam's tone here softened. He got more reflective. This was the mature moment of the interview. Coach Salai has been amazing for me, genuinely. He is the best defensive mind I've ever been around, and having a defensive-minded head coach has given me a completely different perspective on how to read coverages. He's mentoring me every single day. He's giving me the coaching I needed and didn't have last year. And I want to say publicly, the fact that this organization hired Coach Salai specifically to build around me tells me everything about how the Titans view my future. This front office believes in me. My head coach believes in me. My teammates believe in me. So when Stephen A. Smith or Skip Bayless questions my future, I want them to know something. My future is not decided by them. My future is decided by the people in the building, and the people in the building have been very, very clear. That was beautiful, because Cam Ward just made every media critic irrelevant with one sentence. He drew a line between the people who matter to my career and the people who make noise about my career. That's mature. That's smart. That's the kind of framing a quarterback needs to survive in this brutal media environment. The press conference took a brief pause, and when it came back, Cam addressed the elephant in the room. Trubisky, Levis, and Hooker leading the scoring drives while he couldn't. I want to address the fact that Mitchell, Will, and Hendon led the scoring drives tonight, because I know that's the storyline, and I want to say I am happy for them. All 3 of those guys are professionals. Mitchell is a former #2 overall pick with real NFL experience. Will is a second-year QB fighting for his career. Hendon has been through everything. Those 3 guys deserve every rep they got tonight. But here's what I want the fans to understand. In the NFL, the starting QB plays against the other team's starting defense. The backup QBs play against the other team's backup defense. My 3 drives were against San Francisco's first-team defense. Nick Bosa, Fred Warner, Diamador Lenoir, the whole crew. The scoring drives came against 49ers players who won't be on the roster in 3 weeks. That's not a criticism of my teammates. That's just NFL reality. Different opponents. Different results. If y'all want to compare my 3 drives against 49ers starters to their drives against 49ers third stringers, that's a comparison that reveals more about the media than it does about the football. Titans Nation, I have to say. That was a really smart answer, because Cam Ward just contextualized his struggles in a way that is 100% accurate. Starters do face starters. And Nick Bosa and Fred Warner are tougher than whoever the 49ers had on the field in the fourth quarter. That is a legit defense. And it's the kind of nuance that Titans fans need to hear before they panic about their franchise QB's future. The final moment came at the very end. A young reporter asked, "Cam, what's your message to the Titans fan base heading into week 2? And Cam looked directly into the camera and made a promise that is going to define his entire season. My message to Titans Nation is very simple. I promise you on my parents, on everything I have. The Cam Ward you saw on those 3 drives tonight is not the Cam Ward you're going to see in week 1 of the regular season. This whole preseason is about diagnosis. It's about understanding what I need to work on. And I already know from these 3 drives exactly what I need to fix. My eyes were down too much. My footwork got sloppy on my second and third reads. My internal clock was too slow. All fixable in the next 24 days. And in week 1, I am going to walk into that first regular season game and remind everybody why the Tennessee Titans made me the #1 overall pick. To Stephen A. Smith, to Skip Bayless, to everyone doubting me, write down the words I'm saying right now. Week 1 of the regular season, watch me, because the version you're going to see is a version this league has not been ready for. That's my promise. And I don't break promises. Then he walked off. Didn't take another question, just walked straight into the tunnel, and the room sat in silence for a good 10 seconds. Let me give you my analysis, Titans Nation, because this was huge. Cam Ward just did 5 things in one press conference. Number 1, he refused to accept the he's a bust narrative that was building this morning. Number 2, he raised the racial standard question about how black quarterbacks are evaluated versus white quarterbacks, which is going to dominate all sports discourse for the next 72 hours. Number 3, he directly compared himself to Brock Purdy and claimed he'd be top 5 if given Purdy's roster. Number 4, he validated Robert Salai publicly, cementing the coach-QB relationship. Number 5, he made a specific dateable promise about week 1 that puts enormous pressure on his own shoulders. That is a massive performance for a second-year QB.